Here is exactly how the SIE exam works and how to pass it in just a few minutes. SIE stands for Securities Industry Essentials. It is the entry-level exam from FINRA, and it is the doorway into a career in securities. What makes it unusual and genuinely useful is that you do not need a job at a firm to take it. Most FINRA exams require a firm to sponsor you. The SIE does not. You just have to be 18 or older. That matters for planning because you can pass the SIE before you have an offer and then walk into interviews already holding it. Your result stays valid for 4 years, which is your window to get hired and add a top-off exam like the Series 7. The exam is 75 scored questions, and you get 1 hour and 45 minutes. There are also 5 unscored pretest questions mixed in at random that do not count, so you actually see 80. And there is no penalty for guessing, so never leave one blank. You need a score of 70 to pass. One thing to know about that number: FINRA places every candidate's score on a common scale, so it is adjusted for the difficulty of the particular set of questions you got. That is how everyone is held to the same standard, and it is why you cannot simply count your correct answers. Now where the points are, and this is the part that should reshape your study plan. There are 4 sections. Knowledge of capital markets is 16%, 12 questions. Understanding products and their risks is 44%, 33 questions. Understanding trading, customer accounts, and prohibited activities is 31%, 23 questions. And overview of the regulatory framework is 9%, just 7 questions. Read those last 2 again. Products is 44%. The regulatory framework, the section that sounds like it would dominate a securities exam, is 9%. 7 questions. People walk in expecting a rules test and get a products test. Products and trading together are 75% of the exam. So if you are going to overstudy anything, overstudy the products. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, options, municipal securities, packaged products, and above all, what the risks of each one are. That is the exam. Let's do 3 real questions. First, products. A corporation is liquidated. Which claim is satisfied last? Common stockholders. The liquidation order runs from secured creditors through unsecured creditors and bondholders, then preferred stock, and common stock is always dead last. That ordering is worth memorizing as a single chain because it generates a lot of questions. Second, also products. An investor owns 400 shares of a company that uses cumulative voting, and 3 directors are being elected. What is the maximum number of votes she can cast for one candidate? 1,200. Shares times seats, and with cumulative voting, you may pile them all onto a single candidate. With statutory voting, you could not. That distinction is the entire point of the question. Third, regulation. The SEC has declared an issuer's registration statement effective. What does that mean? It means the SEC has neither approved the security nor passed on the accuracy or adequacy of the disclosure. Effectiveness is about completeness of filing, not a blessing. Any option that implies the SEC endorses or guarantees a security is wrong every time. So, how do you prepare? Tip 1. Weight your hours by the published percentages. Products at 44% deserves nearly half your study time, and the regulatory framework at 9% deserves about 1/10 of it. Most self-study plans get this exactly backwards because the rules feel more like what a securities exam should be. Tip 2. For every product, learn it as a triple: what it is, who it suits, and how it can lose money. The exam rarely asks you to define a product in isolation. It asks which product fits a described investor or which risk applies, so learning definitions alone leaves you unable to answer. Tip 3. Learn the regulator map once and properly, even though it is only 9%. Who the SEC is, what FINRA is, and that it is a self-regulatory organization under SEC oversight, what SIPC covers, and what the exchanges do. Those 7 questions are easy points if the map is clear and guesswork if it is not. Tip 4. Answer every single question. There is no penalty for guessing, so a blank is a guaranteed 0, while a guess is a real chance. And log every miss with the reason so you can re-drill the section rather than the individual question. Quick recap. 75 scored questions plus 5 that do not count in 1 hour 45. A score of 70 to pass on a common scale. No sponsor needed and no penalty for guessing. Products and their risks is 44% of the exam, and the regulatory framework is only 9. And your pass stays valid for 4 years. You can practice SIE questions free at .com/en/SIE in English, Chinese, or Spanish with no sign-up.